Okay, guys, I am finally going to shut down this podcast. Like, it's paining me, but sometimes you just have to be realistic and just have to do what you have to do. I thought this was going to be, I thought this was going to be easy. I thought this was going to be very seamless. Obviously, it would have its own problems because, I mean, there's nothing that somebody wants to do that doesn't come with its own difficulties and stuff. But I didn't know it was going to be this hard. Anyway, hi everybody. I've done it again, but this time, rather than beating myself up about just disappearing, I've just decided to pause and take what I can from this. Um, it's very, very weird and it's very somehow, honestly, that this is almost like a cycle right now. Yeah, for those who have been following this podcast for 1 2 3 4, you've just been following this podcast, right? um I know that you may secretly be judging me, but I know that that this is not the first time that I just take a pause, take a break. Most times it's not planned, right? But yeah, I'm here again, showing up and hoping that this time I finally get a hang of it. But so that it doesn't look as if I just showed up and just started talking. Hi, everybody, to the returnees and the people who will be watching this for the very first time. Hi, my name is Moyosoro Luwaladeshui. I am the host of this podcast, Not So Randomly Mo. People call me Big Mo, people call me Mo, different things. Whatever you feel comfortable with calling me is fine, as long as you're not abusing me. Yes, so this is the podcast about anything and everything relatable. I want to do a consider this a diary session. Yeah. So I started this podcast 2020 during that lockdown. Everybody was, I mean, we all picked up something, right? So I picked this up, and I mean, those who have been following this podcast, you know that I originally started this podcast to develop myself, right? To develop myself as a presenter. I always wanted to be a radio presenter. So it was a means to just develop myself. And then also because I have opinions. Everybody has opinions about things, right? But I feel like, I need an avenue to just speak and just talk and just grow with other people. But as the journey progressed, I found that there was something more to this podcast, right? Um, I realized that it was not just about me developing myself or just coming on here to just talk. No, it was something more. I realized that God had given me this thing, right? You know how the Bible talks about the three servants and the master gave them talents. I realized that this podcast is like a talent that God gave me. That, oh, steward this well, and you're going to give a account of it, right? It's not just about me coming on here to talk. There are people who need what I'm saying. I even need what I'm saying, because most times the things I come on here to say are things that I did not really know about. I learned because God wanted me to talk to somebody about it through this podcast, right? I'm saying this because the journey has been very interesting. I call it a roller coaster because it has its ups and its downs, and its ups again, downs again, ups again, downs again. And um it's very, very difficult. Honestly, it's very, very, very difficult handling something that obviously that is bigger than you, and sometimes you feel like you don't have the capacity and maybe even ability to handle it. So there are sometimes that, like today now, me sitting down here to record this episode was a struggle. I don't know, I'm going to take a picture of the setting right now and probably post it, right? Maybe on my Insta story or something. But um I'm the host, I'm the writer, I'm the videographer, I'm the editor, I'm the sound engineer, I'm everything. And when I was about to start recording this episode, for some reason, my lights, my stand, it decided to just mess up. So I had to devise a means to make sure that it is standing and my phone, because I'm using my phone to record this, and my phone doesn't fall down. Very, very interesting, right? I was really getting frustrated, honestly. In my mind, I'm like, here we go again. I do not miss this part of the podcast. I do not miss the process of having to push out an episode. I don't, because it's very, very, very tasking, very, very difficult, very, it's just a lot. So I was thinking to myself as I was trying to tie up this whole thing. Honestly, you have to see the pictures to understand. To tie up everything, and I was like, is it was even the point? Is it even worth it? Because genuinely, one of the things that discourages me, can you imagine, I don't even say what I'm talking about today. I'm speaking about discouragement, right? When the journey becomes difficult and you are discouraged along the way, that's really what I want to address, because that's where I'm just coming out from. And I say I'm just coming out because I don't completely think I'm out of it, right? I'm just struggling. So I was just thinking to myself that, is it even worth it? Because you go through all of this, you go through all the process of recording and then the post production and everything. And sometimes you're looking at the numbers, which is something I told myself that I would not do. For the longest time, I didn't used to look at the number of listens, number of views. Once I post, that's the end. Honestly, once I post, I don't go back to look at anything. Maybe when my friends now ask me or something, I'll now go and check and say, oh, this is how many people have listened, how many people have watched, or whatever. So I told myself I wouldn't. But honestly, human beings, we are still human beings. um Sometimes there's just that temptation. You just, let me even measure where I'm at, and then you look at your numbers and you're like, kò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe kinní o, it's not really moving. The output is not really giving, it's not showing all that is invested, all that is going into this thing, right? And so I remember one day, in fact, not just one day, but I remember one particular day. This was on the, I think the 10th, no, it's not 10th of February. Let me check, because I know that I start that message. I remember there was a night I was speaking to a friend, because he was asking me about my podcast. Oh, when are you recording? When are you recording? At this point, I already knew where I was mentally, emotionally. I knew where I was regarding this podcast. And I know I told him to keep me accountable, but I now started getting frustrated that he was asking me about it, because I was frustrated about the podcast, and it felt like no matter how much I explain to anybody, they would not get it, right? I don't know if you've experienced it, where you're going through something and genuinely the only thing people can give you is encouragement. Yes, the encouragements are good, they're giving you advice, do it this way, do it this way, that blah 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 blah, all coming from a very good place, right? But it still doesn't help, because most times the things that people are even telling us to do, or the encouraging words, you already know it, you've told yourself, but it's not working, it's not helping, right? And so that day I tried to explain that this and this and this and this and that, I honestly, this podcast is draining me, I can't even lie. But I don't think he really understood what I was saying. So I mean, I just shut down. And I remember sending a message, yes, on the 6th of February. I sent a message to two of my friends, and I was like, okay, guys, I am finally going to shut down this podcast. Like, it's paining me, but sometimes you just have to be realistic and just have to do what you have to do, right? So I sent that message, and they talked. Yes, they talked. why this and this and that. See, God bless my friends. God really bless my friends. I can't mention all their names, but they know. God bless my friends, because their immediate response to me saying that was of compassion, because they knew, like, my friends know how much I really want this to work. And their first response was Moyo. Like, I could feel, it was on the phone, like we were texting, but I could feel that they understood where I was coming from, where I was at. And so after all this thing, oh yeah, now let's look at it. How can we make it work? What do you need to do? What is it that is making you speak this way, or what made you decide? And I told them that, look, these are the things that I have to do just to put out one episode. I'm one person. And then when I now look at the numbers, it doesn't make sense to invest all of this into it, right? And my friend said something. I can't say it verbatim how she said it, but it was something that I know it. I've even talked about it on this podcast before. For those who remember, she said, "Okay, but why did you start the podcast?" Right? Like, why? What's the reason for this for this podcast? And like, they were two, so they just really spoke to me about how, honestly, it's like you're forgetting the why and you're distracted. Yes, it is tiring. Obviously, we cannot even doubt the fact that it is tiring and that it can be very discouraging. But at the end of the day, the why has to be the anchor. And you know that this is something that I'm very, very keen on, knowing the why of why you start something. Knowing the why of why you start something, that's very interesting. But knowing the reason for something, right? And so we just talked about it, and they're like, do you know what, you can take a break if you know that that's what you need. Take a break, re-strategize, go back to the drawing board, know what works for you. Because there was a time I was releasing episodes every single week, but that time I was doing only audio. There was no video. There are lots of complexities that comes with doing a video podcast. But yeah. And so we just talked, and then even fine boy Shemi, fine boy Shemi, the manager of this podcast, he has taken it upon himself. He too was like, I don't understand. And so we talked, and many of the things that I want to really be keen on what Fine Boy Shemi said. Many of the things he said, he reminded me of things, reminded me of people who have listened to this, and like, they've actually gained something from it. And which, that is the main thing, that people listen and there's actually like a mind shift. People feel like, okay, it's not just me that is experiencing this thing, right? So it reminded me of this thing. And again, it reminded me again of the things that God had told me. So I remember I wrote an article one time on the 11th commandment. Yeah, there are 10 commandments that God gave Moses, but I gave myself an 11th command. And the 11th command is to remember, right? To always remember the things that God has done, to always remember the victories of the past, because it's the victories of the past that would help you when you are experiencing difficulties in the present. So even when the Israelites were in the wilderness and everything, we find that God kept on reminding them of things that He had done. I was the one that brought you out of Egypt. I was the one that took you through the Red Sea. I was the one that brought water out of the rock for you. I was the one that fed you manna and quail. He kept reminding them along the journey. Like, they spent how many years in the wilderness, and He kept reminding them. So the reminders are so important. I'm speaking about discouragement because the journey is long, right? The destination is far, the journey is long, and you will be discouraged along the way. But like David said, we have to encourage ourselves in the Lord. And it is important to learn and know how to encourage yourself in the Lord, because there are sometimes that people will not be able to encourage you. You will not be able to encourage yourself in the normal way that you probably know how to. But in the Lord, that in the Lord is the key factor there. And so I was thinking, and I asked my friends, okay, so if you're talking to a novice about how to encourage themselves in the Lord, how do we encourage ourselves in the Lord? And it's pretty simple. It's going back to remembering the things that God has done, remembering the things He has said concerning something, right? So there are times where, I mean, it is easy to forget, and that's why it's very, very good to write things down, right? Even the book of Habakkuk says, write the vision, make it plain upon the tables, so that the person who is running can read it. Read it along the way as you are running, because it's when you are reading it that it would increase your strength, your energy, your what's the word now? The drive to continue running, right? So it's very important that we document the things that God has said concerning something, because there will be opposition, you will be tired, you will be weary. But when you remember that, oh, God has said this, and if it is God that has said this, if it is God that established this thing, obviously we cannot continue in the flesh what began in the spirit. So we have to keep reminding ourselves. So I told my friends that oh no, I'm shutting this podcast, and they encouraged me. And I remember that that was a Friday. That Friday, I had seen different people posting snippets of somebody's podcast. You know, the way we release clips, and then your friends, people will just help you share. So I was seeing it, but I didn't go and watch the episode. I didn't go and watch it. I don't know. So I that Friday I cried after speaking to my friends. Like, I cried. I told God, I said, God, I really do not want to shut down this podcast, but I'm at the point where I think that that's the wise thing to do. And then I just cried, and then I slept. And I slept. And that morning on Saturday, I was getting ready for lectures, right? Because I have classes on Saturdays. And I was doom scrolling on my phone before standing up to go and start getting ready. And I just saw the episode again that people were posting yesterday. And my mind just said, oh yeah, watch this thing. So I watched it, and that episode of this person's podcast, it was the name of it, the podcast is the Millennial Chronicles, right? It's by Ayola Gabriels. And the thing that she said in that episode was exactly what I was going through, right? It's like, it felt so good hearing somebody else going through exactly what you're going through. And like, okay, yes, I'm not overthinking, I'm not being unreasonable, right? It's valid. But again, like she said, and which is something my friend said, which is something that I said on the podcast, is to always remember the why. Like, why did I even start this thing? Why am I doing it? Is it for the likes? Is it for the comments? Obviously, if it is only for the likes and comments, that's a very, very shallow reason to do something, and that's a very shallow motivation for something, honestly, now that I think about it, because people are fickle. Yeah. So I mean, I just watched that episode, and I genuinely felt encouraged after watching it. I thanked God. I said, God, thank you for allowing me to see this, right? And so I texted my friends. I said, okay, oh, I will not shut it down, but I shall know that it's still going to be a struggle, but at least I'm not going to give up. Funny enough, that entire Saturday, I kept seeing posts. I don't know. I kept seeing posts on Instagram, different people just saying, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. It will be difficult, but don't give up. If you judge the future by what you're experiencing in the present, if you are doing yourself a disservice, don't give up. People that have now been established in whatever it is they're doing, they started very small. It took some people 5 years. It's don't give up. I said, God, I hear you, right? Now it's even like you're shouting at me. So that was it. Oh, that was it. That was the I mean, that's the abridged version of everything, obviously. But it taught me that discouragement is real. Is real. It is very uncomfortable because you are at a place where you don't want to be there. You don't want to feel burdened by the thing that you love. You don't want to feel um you don't want to feel like you're just dragging on something, even though you know that you're supposed to be doing it, but it's just difficult. And so I said I'm going to come on here to share this, also because I feel like I owe people who listen to this, even if it's one person, two people, I owe them the explanation and to even let them even know where I'm at, right? So how do we deal with discouragement? Number one, we've already talked about it. Remembering the why. Why are you on this journey? Why did God give you that particular thing that you are doing that is difficult and is discouraging you? Why? And then remember the faithfulness of God in the past. Remember the things He has said concerning that thing. Remember past accomplishments, and that's why it's very, very good to document. One of my friends, Darren documents. I like, I journal, but not to the extent at which Darren does it. And it's so beautiful to see because there are sometimes that Darren will post something that she documented maybe 5 6 years ago or something, and like you're now seeing it play out. Is very, very good. And it's not just about just documenting, but documenting well. Pictures, videos, notes is so important because along the way you will just need to remember. You will just need to go back to where you started and refire your drive, your passion or something, right? Another thing when dealing with discouragement, you see this one, very important, is to sleep. Sleep. No, I believe so much in the power of sleep. I'm telling you, I believe it. Sometimes just sleep. Cry, oh, cry very, very well. Cry. No, 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 cry. It's even good. It's an emotional release. It's very, very good, right? To cry out the emotions. Cry. You know those type of cries that babies used to cry, children used to cry. Maybe their parents will beat them. They will cry and then they will just sleep. They will sleep one sleep that is like they were knocked out. Yes. Cry and sleep. Cry and sleep. You see that when you wake up, you feel a bit better. At least the weight that you were feeling in that moment, it's not be there again. So sleep, very important. And then eat. It's important to eat food. Remember the story of Elijah, when Elijah was afraid and he was discouraged when this babe was pursuing him, Jezebel. And he got to a crossroad where he felt like he was the only one remaining. He was so discouraged. How am I going to continue? What am I going to do? This man is going to cut my head off. She's going to do this. Elijah, what did God do? God sent angel. He gave him food. Yeah, first eat, chop rice, chop rice. They gave him food. God did not even give him a word. They brought food. Eat first. They gave him food, I think it was 3 times or so. He ate, he slept, they woke him again, eat again, eat, he'll be fine. It's very important. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, there's power in food though. No, 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 no. I'm telling you. God bless Lawrence Sawyer for singing that song. I bless the day food was made. No, food, there is something spiritual about it, to be honest. So eat and sleep. Eat and sleep. You continue the journey the next day. Another thing is to actually take a break, right? Is to actually take a break. Take a step back. Relax. Find other things to do, but not things that will then make you forget what you have been called to do. But you need a break. Sometimes it shows that you have been overworking, over everything, over, and you actually just need to breathe. So take a break, do something that you enjoy doing, right? And pick up a hobby, maybe even learn something new. Just take a break. However you want to steward that break is up to you. But even then, in that break, you need to keep going back to the drawing board to re-strategize. How am I going to do this better? So when you are treating something, this is something that I learned last week about cause and effect. A lot of times we are treating and addressing the effect but not the cause. But if the root cause is still there, unattended to, not yet addressed, you are just cutting off the leaves, cutting off the branches and everything, but the root is still there. You will keep it will be an endless cycle. You'll keep going over it, treating the same thing, addressing the same thing, because the root cause hasn't been dealt with. So in that break, and in that moment where you feel discouraged, I think it's important to identify the root cause. Okay, what is making me feel this way? My friend asked me that, Fin follower Akin John, she asked me, okay, why, what is the issue? And I told her, it's the likes and the comments, it's tiring. I look at the numbers and it's not good. It's not good for the amount of work that goes into it. You said, okay, you've identified it. Now, how do you make it better? Right. So identify the root cause. I also find that discouragement may also be a pointer that probably you've been in a place for too long, right? And you need to shift focus, maybe, or even just switch up how you're doing something, switch up how you are, right? Discouragement can be a pointer. It can teach us something. It's not a place to remain in, it's not a place to dwell in. It's, you move on from it, but you pick the lessons, you pick what you're supposed to pick and move on, right? So those are the little things that I think, I mean, I see that helps with discouragement. Discouragement is very, very weighty. It's very, very uncomfortable. It can be depressing. It's a lot of things. It's not a good place to be in, and that's why when you start feeling discouraged, it's very important to address it immediately. Another thing very important, very, very important, is to have people who can encourage you. And when I say encourage you, not people who will just say the things that they think you want to hear or just speak by head knowledge, but people who also can encourage you in the Lord. So if they're going to encourage you in the Lord, it means that they have to have an idea of the things that God has already said concerning that particular thing or that situation or something, because sometimes as individuals we forget. But if you have people around you that know what God has said about a situation, and they can remember, I mean, they can remind you, like firelighters, it's very, very, very important. It's such a blessing, right? This trendy video right now, Yakubu manage, is a very, very good, very, very good video. I love it so much. I love it. One of the things that I noticed and I learned in that video, it's very important to learn things on, is the guy that was tired, Yakubu, he had the guy that was encouraging him, saying manage. It will do as if, it will do it like say you go die, but you no go die. His friend was encouraging him, but that's not just the thing. As his friend was encouraging him, Yakubu too was encouraging himself. So it was like a call and response thing. As your friends are encouraging you based on what God has said, based on what they know about you, about your abilities, your potential. Because sometimes it's that we're not seeing ourselves enough, but other people can see that you can do this, you can handle this, right? So having people around you that can encourage you is a big blessing. And that's why we need to be very, 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 very intentional about the people we have in our space. People who will not coddle you so much, but they would also push you. They would push you, they would pamper you and all the things. They will push you. They will encourage you in the Lord. Encourage in the Lord. In the Lord is so, so, so key. Yeah, so those are the little ways I think that we can deal with discouragement. And my friend said something that I'm just going to say because it really encouraged me when she said it. She said, sorry about that. Yes, you said, first of all, remind yourself that you're not doing it for only the numbers. And I don't know what your own situation might be. Yours may not be about likes, comments. Yours may be about validation from people. Well, likes and comments are also still sort of validation, but yours can be a different thing. You may be looking for results that are not part of the benchmarks for success that God has given you, right? Because sometimes we 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 define success in a way that God has not defined it for us, and that's a it can be a bad thing, right? Because you don't know that you're actually succeeding, but because your eyes are on another thing, you feel like you're failing, right? So she said, remind yourself that you're not doing it for the numbers, right? Remind yourself that not everyone blew in their first year. But this last one is what I love. She said, God is the rewarder, and He rewards obedience, not likes and comments. And that, my dear, is how you remind somebody that they should just obey. He rewards obedience. So whatever it is that God has given to us to steward, to do, we just have to ensure that we are obeying well, because there's a way to obey well, obey quickly, and just keep doing what He has said do, not looking at what you think is okay. That means, if I'm getting this result, it means that I'm doing well. No, it's obedience that He requires. It's obedience that He requires, and He rewards those who diligently obey Him. That was such a fantastic reminder from my friend. So yes, one of them said, take a break and go and play. It's very, 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 very important. Take a break and go and play. Remember how God has brought you, how faithful He is, and how He's the one who never leaves you behind. Um, so yes, just these are just a few things. And my coming back, I really hope I'm here to stay. I will need you people's help. Let me not even lie. I will need you people's help, because um sometimes even your comments, it's also encouraging, right? When we know that, okay, oh, it's not invisible people, like they're actually people getting blessed. It's very, 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 very encouraging. But yeah, Lord is helping each and every one of us. Like Elijah, He's the one who would carry you through the journey. He's the one that will be within the journey and encourage you and strengthen you and give you all that you need, all that is required. He would even bring people your way to help you. Like, honestly, I have to do this. I have to give a shout out to Shemire. Fine boy Shemi. Fine boy Shemi has been on this podcast, right? And sometimes I'm like, yesterday I had to send him a voice note. I said, I don't know the prayer that I prayed though. I don't know the prayer that I prayed. I don't know what I did. That God just said, let me dash this girl, his friend. Because the way Shemi carries this thing on his head, I'm like, sure you will not come and carry the podcast and just carry on. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's very, very, very important to have people like that who actually believe in what you are doing. And it may not always even be your closest friends. It may not be one random person, or somebody that you don't really know. Honestly. But there will shall be somebody. Why? Because God doesn't give us assignments that, while you're the one that is doing it, there will still be people who would help. It's just normal, right? Because we're made for community and all of that. That's it on this episode of Not Random Emo. I hope you learned something or two. And if you have been discouraged by something or whatever, share your experience. How did you get out of it? What do you do when you feel discouraged? Because there might be something that I didn't even mention, or that I don't even know that is a hack, or that helps. But yes, I just remembered one. Songs. Songs, good songs. Not songs that will worsen. Not songs that will make how you're feeling worse. Like those people that are going through heartbreak and they will still be listening to songs of heartbreak. It's worse now. So yes, share your experiences, share the things that you also do. Please, I'm not proud. Let me beg you. Please share this podcast. Please. I'm not looking at the numbers, oh, but please help us share it. Right? Yes, share, like, comment, and all the things. And till next time, have a fantastic week. Be authentic, be kind, and be good. Bye.